and came home, and I was in the hospital for 9 months and that. And at the time, if you lost a limb, you were automatically discharged from the service. And now they have an option to stay on and maybe qualified to continue doing their job. But at that time, it was just, you're discharged, you're retired, you're done. And so when 9 months later, when I got out of the hospital, I was retired and sent home. So that's when I ended up continuing my education and that. And it brought me back to reality a little bit. And but I had learned a lot in the Marine Corps. You know, I was in Vietnam at a young age of 20 years old. And when I came home, all the guys that I hung out with that were my age, they didn't seem like they grew up. So that was the difference between becoming a responsible, seeing life the way it is, the lowest lows and the highest highs at an early age. So, you know, I could relate to life a lot better than the guys that I hung out with. And they all seemed like kids to me. And so at that point, I knew that I had matured very fast. And the rest of my life was just as an adult, and I was 21. And so I've always been in a position of being responsible and leadership role in that, and I found it very comfortable being in that position all my life. And it just seemed that the training I had from the Marine Corps and the experiences I had kind of elevated me over a lot of people that were just hanging out, going to school, having a good life, mama and daddy taking care of them and that. And you know, I just felt that I was a lot more mature than that. So it was easier to take on responsibilities and see what I had to do at an early age. And that's how I grew up. And even now, we help start a amputee support group here in Tampa. And I ended up being president for the last 5 years. And so, and Dee's our secretary. And then a couple of years ago, we started a color guard, which took me back to my roots in ROTC. And so now we have the only amputee color guard in America. And we're at present day, and we're working hard trying to help people. And through our experiences, we're helping out the younger generation coming up. And a lot of guys that are coming back from the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and that, we want to let them know that we're here for them and to help them on their journey. When back in the days of Vietnam and that, there was nobody waiting for us to come home and helping us out. And basically, you got retired, you were sent home, and have a good life. Well, immediately, I mean, we had the communications weren't as they are now, social media and all that. We didn't have that. But we had heard stories of protesting and that in the States. And coming back wounded, we were on airplane ambulances, if you will. Mm-hmm. Big planes that they had stretchers inside, and we landed, and they said we were going to come to Philadelphia because that was the closest amputee center, but that we were going to come in the morning around 3 in the morning because there wouldn't be so many protesters out at the airport. Mm-hmm. And when we got there, we still found people that were yelling and screaming and that. And basically, you know, it was kind of funny because the people that were yelling and screaming were like our age. You know, we were 19, 20 years old, and that was the majority of the people that were protesting. And so it was kind of confusing. You were pulled in two different directions because you wanted to identify with that group because they were your age group. But at the same time, you seen the other side of life, and you knew that you were doing some good by helping out in so the war wouldn't be here. And so if we could keep all the war and bad stuff away from home, we thought we were doing our job, and we felt we were doing our jobs, but we didn't understand why they didn't understand. And so that was the tug of war we had with not knowing why they were doing that. And so throughout our stay at the hospital, there were groups who would come in support of us, but yet we would see people around the hospital marching around protesting. So it was a mixed bag, the coming in and finding out that in America, the turmoil that was going on here.
At what point would you say that kind of resolved itself, or do you think it ever really has?
Well, the Vietnam era vets never did get it resolved because we were in such a unpopular war, and we did, and I feel we did our job, what we had to do, and that war never came home. I mean, there was never any casualties here at home because of the enemy and nowadays the terrorists and all that. War never came to America. And so we felt we did our job. But the public didn't like it. It wasn't a popular war. And so we never got our homecoming in that. And years later, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, it seemed like the population of the country all of a sudden realized, hey, these guys are protecting us. And they could see now through social media and television coverage and all that, the horrors of war. And they go like, man, these guys are going through that for us. And so it became popular to like support the military. And then all of a sudden, the Vietnam guys were filtering in there, and they go like, you know what? These guys did that, but nobody recognized it. And the people that were actually supporting all the military now were our generation from Vietnam. So all of a sudden, like now, I get more support, more benefits, more recognition, everything that I ever did when I came home. And now, because I'm still involved with a lot of the military and veterans, I reap some of the benefits that the young guys are getting now. And it was because I was a veteran of Vietnam. And now they're giving us parades and all that. But a lot of the saying now is welcome home. But I came home almost 50 years ago. So now, like I said, the country has made a big turnaround, and they support our military. Nobody in their right mind would support a war, because war sucks. I've been in war, I've seen war. Any veteran knows war. There's nothing good about war. There's nothing good about it, but we're there to do a job and protect war from coming to our land. And I think that's the reason we all did it. But war itself sucks. But we got to support the people who go to war and protect us. And that's the reason I think the support is now as compared to the older days or the generations that have passed. People are more aware because of communication, because social media, because the advancement in electronics and all that communication. Everybody is more aware of what's happening and what the military is. And that's why they're supporting it now. Everything was an issue coming back as a veteran. you basically tried to blend back into society. And I gotta admit, I grew my hair long. I at the time the younger population was known as, if you will, the flower generation, the hippie generation, and all that. And I tried to blend in so I wouldn't be singled out as not being the same as they were, and tried to go to school. I had to find myself first. I had to kind of get my head clear, straightened out, because I had been through a lot and seen a lot, and once I came to grips with what had happened to me, what I had seen, and what I'd been through, I was able to go to school and study and get a job. But before that, it wasn't easy, finding employment, finding people who basically sympathize with what you were trying to do. The military wasn't set up for a lot of these young guys coming home, and so it was like, you're home now, good luck, have a great life. If you need us, we're here for you. But that was it. There wasn't a lot of programs in that, and they basically didn't know what to do with the Vietnam veteran. And we kind of figured it out. And once I figured it all out for myself, then I was able to move on and continue life, study, join society, become a productive citizen. And but I had to overcome a lot to do that. And basically getting my head straight, finding out who I was. And it takes a while to realize that that you're more than a body part, or a prosthetic doesn't define who you are. As an amputee, I had to learn that in my head, that the leg I lost was my leg, but I have a replacement now, and that doesn't define who Rudy is. And once I found out who Rudy was or is, then I was able to move on.